Hey guys, it's Bear with the Giving Camper. So I have an item that I want to talk to you guys about today, and it's from one of my favorite companies, and that company is called Haloview. Now I've had a few different camera systems that they have out, and each one has gotten better and better. Now the last one that I reviewed, I said I don't know about it, just the price difference, because it just incorporated a touchscreen. And to me, it wasn't really worth the difference there. But let me tell you, this new product I think is worth its weight in gold. This is a backup camera, observation camera if you wish, that integrates a TPMS. So it's two products that are only actually run by one single item. And to me, that's priceless. You know, I've been trying to decrease the clutter in my truck. I'm actually doing a complete makeover in my truck. I'm talking a self-done paint job. We went over the whole thing with something called Raptor liner, a bed liner. It's colored. I'm very happy with the way it's turning out. I'm going to be doing a whole series on DIY on how I did that. But I did get this product a few weeks ago, and I really wanted to get something out there for you guys. I really wish that I could have took it on a trip and tested a little bit more first. So this is just kind of an overview of the product and how I put it in. But let me tell you, I think that it's going to be a great system for us. Now I will say that I almost turned this product down because I have an excellent relationship with TireMinder. And TireMinder is another one of my favorite companies to work with. And their product has saved me multiple times. Now, that being said, I've been trying to declutter a lot of stuff in my truck because I said I wanted to keep it minimal whenever I first started doing this. And I got the GPS, I've got the Haloview, I've got the TireMinder, I got a dash cam, and it's all this stuff. So I've been trying to cut down on that. And it just so happened that at the exact moment that I was trying to work through some of this stuff, I also did a bullet point mount, which I'll have a separate video on in the future, and I'll link that down below whenever I get that done. As far as this product, you only basically have to change out the monitor and install the sensors. And that was a pretty easy job. Like, they tell you step by step what to do. And so it's very easy to do, especially because this new system, the one thing that's different and the hardest part for me about installing the system was that the plug is a different plug. So it will accept like a 12-volt plug that it comes with. You can also just use a USB-C cable. And because you can use the USB-C cable, whenever you go to install the system, you can just power the monitor with the USB-C cable and the power bank, and you can just walk around the camper and you can do all the controls to set your tire pressures and your temperatures and everything right there at the tire, and it's really easy to do. And even when you're like adjusting the camera, so like if you were just installing a brand new camera, you know, usually you'd have to go all the way to the back, have it kind of where you think it's going to be, then go to the truck, look in the truck, make sure that it's connected properly, and once it's connected, make sure it's tilted the way you like, and you'll have to mirror it so that it's the right way. And it's a lot of times of running back and forth to the truck. We don't have to do that anymore. So that's just one thing that's very simple about this system. Now, as far as the install goes, so I already had the backup camera on the back of the camper, and I already had the side cameras mounted. And so with all of that, essentially it was just, I had to tear the dash apart because it did take a different cable, like I said. So once I did that and I ran the wire the way that I wanted to, which I don't use the hardwired version, I just have it to a 12-volt box, but that has to go up behind the dash because my OCD doesn't like it hanging in front of the dash. And so it goes out and comes out below the dash and just plugs into a box there. And I've been pretty happy with that little box too. It's just a basic 12-volt power distribution center, but I've been happy with it. Now once I did that and pulled the dash apart, ran that cable, pulled out the old one, then essentially everything's almost done as far as the setup. Just with the backup camera, you have to go in and pair each camera. So with that, you have to go to the camera and push the pair button on the camera when you're on the actual screen for that camera inside the Haloview screen. But like I said before, you can take it to the camera, so it's a lot easier than before. Now, something else about this system that I think is just great is that they include a booster for the TPMS, but not only one booster, they actually have 2 boosters. So the way the system's set up is I only used 1 booster because that's all I've ever needed in this camper. It is only a 30-foot camper. But I did, keep the second booster so I have it if I need it. But just in testing here in the parking area, it's been completely fine, and I don't think I'll have any issues with that. As far as the install of the booster, all I did was, I had the other one mounted to a 12-volt distribution center in the camper. I redid that a few years ago. They come usually with some alligator clips, and I had them initially in the 7-pin plug, but when I redid some wiring and I moved that because I was having some interference with my tire minder booster, I moved it to the leg of the camper and pointed antennas downward, which seemed to help a lot. And I thought that I would just try the same booster there. And whenever I moved it, it was easier for me to just wire it into my electrical bay into a 12-volt distribution block that I have there. As far as the BT7 system goes, I was having a little bit more graininess, which I think is more interference. As far as interference, I have several things in the camper. I have a cellular router. I have blink cameras. I have the tire minder system is what I've traditionally had. So it's a lot of signals bouncing back and forth, and I think that's what was causing the little bit of graininess that wasn't there when I first installed the BT7 system. But whenever they sent me this, they also sent me a remote antenna that they have. So it kind of goes back to their older Dominator style camera system where you actually have an antenna that you can mount on the front of your camper. Now, according to the size and stuff, I don't really have to have that. And I will say that with the graininess, it's still the clearest picture that I've ever had on a backup camera. So I'm not complaining about it at all. But I did add the antenna on the top, and I think that that's going to bring back that clearer picture. It is so far, but I've not road tested the system yet. Now, as far as using the TPMS, once you have it set up, you have your sensors on. They're all set for the temperatures and the pressures that you want. It's a set it and forget it system. Now, when I said that I was trying to decrease the clutter, and I've never been a fan of like the TPMS systems that they have that connect to your phone, because you're putting a lot of faith in an app running in the background of your phone. What happens if you accidentally close the app? It's not running, you don't check it. I don't like that. Now, what I will say is with a good TPMS system, you don't have to look at the pressures all the time because it's going to let you know whenever there's a problem. Now, I do have to do some further testing on the TPMS system that's associated with this, so I'm holding on to my old system right now. But I will say that I have high hopes because everything that Haloview's ever sent me in the past has been a great product. But there's something to be said about this system running in the background. Now, when I say it's running in the background, it's not like an app on my phone that can close. It's part of the Haloview system, and it's running on there. And so if you get an alert, it's going to show up on your monitor automatically. So you don't have to worry about seeing those pressures and stuff all the time. But you can go into the settings on that Haloview monitor, and you can go to it and you can see the actual pressures if you want to. But that's not something that's going to be showing all the time, and I think that that's a good thing. I actually don't like seeing the pressures all the time on all the different tires. It kind of drives my OCD crazy. Now, one thing that I'll say that I've been preaching for years is people say, well, why do you need a TPMS monitor? Just check your pressure before you leave. Well, it's not always that simple, guys. I have had a TPMS system save me from a blowout. It did tell me whenever I got a slid in the sidewall of my tire before that I was having a leak, and I was able to pull over and avoided having a blowout. So you don't always know that stuff before when you just check the pressure at your last stop. And I will say that particular incident that I'm talking about, I was actually driving to Tennessee from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I was within 20 minutes of home, and that happened. And it was in the middle of driving. It wasn't, something that happened whenever I was parked somewhere. I was on the road at least an hour before this came up. So I don't know what cut the tire, but something cut the tire while I was driving. And so that's an important point of why I push for these things. Now, I did have another system tell me at one point that I had a leak, and I ignored it because I pulled over and checked the tire and everything seemed fine, and I did have a blowout at that point. So you need to have a little bit of faith in these things. You do have to have some, you know, you got to use your brain a little bit, because sometimes these sensors will go off and stuff just whenever it starts raining or something like that. I would be less suspicious if it was more than one sensor going off at one time. But, you know, if you just have one sensor, I should have put a little bit more faith in the system on this particular incident that I'm talking about. So unfortunately, guys, my truck's been torn into 100 pieces, and I've not been able to test this thing anymore. But I felt like I really wanted to get some information out there about this system. It was easy to hook up. It's crystal clear picture. It is the touch screen, and I think it's going to be a great product, and I highly recommend it. But that's unfortunately all I can say about it right now. I will be back with you guys more after we have a few trips. We usually take a trip over New Year's, somewhere a few hours away, and we don't really have any plans right now. We really don't have any plans. We're supposed to go to Michigan a couple of weeks ago, but we canceled that trip and a trip to South Carolina last week so that I could continue to work on the truck, try to get that done. So it's because of that I hadn't been able to test the system. But all in all, I've been really happy with it. And I can't say that. I mean, I've already said it too much. So I'm just going to shut up, and we're going to leave it there. And I'm going to be back with you guys whenever I have more information on it and I test it out a little bit more. But like I say, for right now, 2 thumbs up.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.